Chapter 1. I never stay in the same country for an extended period of time. It becomes boring. I enjoy traveling and meeting new people. The majority of the time, life is pleasant. When I need money, I buy fruit. Fruit is available for picking throughout most of the year in Europe. Obviously, you must be in the right country at the right time. It's hard work, but the pay is decent. I enjoy going south in the winter. Life is easier in the sun, and Northern Europe can be extremely cold in the winter. I was in Venice in October of last year, 1989. I spent 3 weeks working in a hotel before slowly moving south. I always take the train when I can. I like trains. You can walk around on a train and meet a lot of people. I left Venice and continued on to Trieste. There I purchased a cheap ticket for the slow train to Sofia, Bulgaria. This train travels all the way through Yugoslavia and takes a long time. After the train left Zagreb, one went to sleep. A day and a half. But that didn't matter to me. The train left Trieste at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning. There weren't many people on it at first, but at Zagreb more people got on. 2 girls went along the corridor, past my carriage. They looked through the door, but they didn't come in. Then an old woman came in, sat down, and went to sleep. The 2 girls came back along the corridor and looked into the carriage again. The train left Zagreb, and I looked out of the window for about 10 minutes. Then I went to sleep too. When I opened my eyes again, the 2 girls were in the carriage. They looked friendly, so I said, "Hello." They said, "You're American," I said, "or Canadian, right?" "American," the taller girl said. She smiled. "And you're 23, your name's Tom Walsh, you've got blue eyes, and your mum lives in Burnham-on-Sea, UK. Right. How did you know all that?" I asked. The second girl laughed. "She looked at your passport. It's in your coat pocket. Right, my coat was on the seat next to me. I took my passport out of my pocket and put it back in my bag." "Who are you?" Then I asked. They told me. "Melanie and Carol from Los Angeles, USA. They liked Europe," they said. "They knew a lot of places: Britain, Holland, Denmark, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Greece." "I'm going to Bulgaria now," I said. "Tour about a month. Then I'm going south for the winter, Cyprus, or perhaps North Africa. Yes, they said. "We love Bulgaria. Sofia is a great town. Wonderful." "What do you do about money?" I asked. Carol smiled. "Sometimes we get a little job. This and that. But what about you?" "Come on," Melanie said. "Tell us about you, Tom Walsh with the blue eyes and the mum in Burnham-on-Sea. What are you doing with your life? Hey." So I told them. They were nice girls. They were older than me, perhaps 27 or 28, but I liked them. We talked and laughed for hours. I told them a lot of stories about my life. Some of the stories were true, some weren't. But the girls laughed and said I was a great guy. I asked them about Bulgaria because I didn't know the country. They knew Sofia well. They said, Carol, Melanie said, "We're staying in Bela Palanka for a day or 2. but let's go over to Sofia this weekend and meet Tom there. We can meet him on Saturday night at the Hotel Marmara. Yeah, it's a good hotel, Carol told me. Cheap, but good. What do you think, Tom? Reed, I said, let's do that. E talked and laughed for hours. The train was very slow. We got to Belgrade at 6 o'clock in the evening and a lot of people got off. There were only me and the girls in the carriage then. The guard came and looked at our tickets and went away again. Carol looked at Melanie. Hey, Mel, she said, why don't you and Tom go along to the restaurant? I'm not hungry, and I want to sleep for an hour. Food's very expensive on the train, I said. I haven't got much money just now. I'm going to get a job in Sofia. Tom, Melanie said. Why didn't you tell us? Look, you're a nice guy, right? We're okay for money this week. We can buy you a meal. Of course we can, Carol said. And look, in Sofia we can take you to the best restaurant in town. It's a great place. We love it. Hat could I say? I was hungry. They had money, I didn't. So Melanie and I went to the restaurant and had a meal. When we came back, Carol was still alone in the carriage. Melanie put her feet on the seat and went to sleep. 18 as some more people got on the train, and two old men came into our carriage. They looked at Melanie's feet on the seat and talked in loud voices. Carol laughed, and Melanie opened her eyes and sat up. Are we nearly there? She asked Carol and looked out of the window. About half an hour, I think. He. Are you getting off at Bella Palanca? I asked. Hat. Are you going to do there? Eleni smiled. Find a cheap hotel, meet people, take a look at the town, just for a day or two, Carol said. There's nothing there. Well, you never know, Melanie laughed. See you in Sofia, right? On Saturday night. He Hotel Marmara. Okay, 8 o'clock, Carol said. Don't forget now. Hey, great, I said. See you there. He train came into Bella Palanca and stopped. The two girls got off and stood on the platform. They smiled at me through the window. Saturday, 8 o'clock, Melanie shouted. Okay, I called. They couldn't hear me because of the noise in the station. They smiled again, picked up their bags, and walked away. Nice girls. I'm going to have a great time in Sofia, I thought. The train left Yugoslavia and crossed into Bulgaria at 2 o'clock in the morning. Then the train stopped at some village I don't remember the name. I ate an apple and looked out of the window. Suddenly there were a lot of policemen on the train. Everybody in the carriage sat up and began to talk. Saturday, 8 o'clock, Melanie shouted. What's happening? I said in Italian to the old man next to me. I don't know, he said in bad Italian. Perhaps they're looking for somebody. Look, the police are taking some people off the train. Then two policemen came into our carriage, a tall, thin one and a short, fat one. They looked at everybody carefully, and then they looked at me again. Come with us, please, the fat policeman said in English. Hat? Me, I said. Why? What's the matter? Andy, bring your bag with you, the tall policeman said. I began to ask a question, but policemen never like questions from young men with long hair. So I stayed quiet, picked up my bag, and went with them. In the station building, there were a lot more policemen and some people from the train. They were all young people I saw. Some were afraid, others were bored. The police searched everyone's bags before the passengers returned to the train. My two policemen led me to a table. "Your passport, please," the fat cop said, "and open your bag." Hey, check my passport, and I opened my bag. The next table was occupied by a young policewoman with red hair. She had a pleasant expression, so I smiled at her, and she smiled back. "Ah," the tall policeman exclaimed abruptly. All of my dirty shirts and clothes were out on the table. The police officer picked up my bag and turned it over. On the table, several packets of US dollars fell out of my bag. Nice new dollars. $50 bills in bulk packets. A lot of money. Nice new dollars. $50 bills in large packets, a lot of cash. My mouth opened and remained open. I could not find my voice. I was suddenly a very interesting person, and a large number of police officers rushed up to our table and stood behind me. 50,000. 100,000. 150,000. "There's $200,000 here," the tall police officer said. "What an interesting bag, Mr. Tom Walsh." My voice returned quickly. "But this is not my bag," he shouted. That policeman had a big, happy smile on his face. He explained. "It has your name on it. Look." I looked, and of course my name was there, as was my bag. So how did 200,000 US dollars get into my bag? "You cannot bring us dollars into this country," the fat cop stated. He had very short gray hair and small black eyes. He did not smile once. "I didn't bring them," I quickly replied. "These are not my dollars." I'd never seen them before in my life, and there was a lot of noise throughout the station. I looked out the window and saw my train. It slowly began to move. "5," I shouted. "That's my train," tall policeman laughed. "It was an excellent day for him." No," he replied. "You are not getting back on that train. You're staying with us in our lovely country." He smiled happily. I shouted. "That's my train, so I never made it to Sofia on Saturday. I was very upset about it. I wanted to have a small talk with Melanie." "Carol, you can ask them 1 or 2 questions. You're a nice guy, Tom. See you in Sofia, okay? Take you to the top restaurant in town." "Yeah." "Great. And I never made it to Cyprus or North Africa the winter." "Oh well, I'll live and learn. It's not easy being in prison, but it's warm in the winter and the food isn't bad. And I am meeting some interesting people. There's a man from Georgia, USSR, named Boris. He is from a place near the Black Sea. He's a great person. When we leave here, he and I are going to Australia. Perhaps Brisbane or Sydney, get a job on a ship and begin a new life. Yeah, next year is going to be okay." The end.